The scent of stale pizza and the suffocating weight of unspoken words filled my small apartment that night. Justin, the man I'd shared my life with for 3 years, sat on the edge of the worn sofa, his shoulders slumped, his gaze locked on the patterned rug as if it held all the answers. Beside him, Chloe, my childhood confidant, dabbed at her eyes with a crumpled tissue. Her mascara, already smudged, gave her tears a theatrical flair I'd soon learn to distrust. The air crackled with a tension that screamed of unspoken accusations and a devastating finality. Justin's posture, his silence, spoke volumes about his internal struggle, but the cold, calculated stillness in Chloe's faux grief was what truly chilled me. The unspoken words, "It's not working," hung in the air, a poisonous cloud settling over our shared history. The growing apart they vaguely alluded to felt like a cruel joke. I replayed our last few months, searching for the insidious signs I'd so willfully ignored. Chloe's newfound fascination with Justin's life, his work, his passions, even his family, had felt increasingly intrusive. Her questions, once innocent, now seemed to probe for weaknesses, for the cracks in our foundation. I'd dismissed it as her own loneliness, her need for connection, but the reality was a meticulously orchestrated betrayal. The cold, sickening realization dawned: my boyfriend was leaving, and my lifelong best friend was not only complicit but actively orchestrating his departure. The weeks that followed were a desolate landscape of my own making. Justin relocated, a clean break that felt more like a severing. Chloe, in her role as the supportive new girlfriend, was an omnipresent shadow. Sightings of them, hand in hand at my favorite coffee shop, their laughter echoing from the park where Justin and I had shared our first kiss, their presence at mutual friends' gatherings, were like fresh wounds inflicted daily. My own friends, bless their well-meaning hearts, offered platitudes, their sympathy a thin veil over their own discomfort, their inability to grasp the depth of this betrayal stinging as much as the betrayal itself. I retreated into a self-imposed exile. My work at the marketing firm became a struggle, deadlines blurred into a meaningless cycle. Meals were an effort, sleep elusive. My days were consumed by the agonizing ritual of replaying every conversation, every shared glance, searching for the precise moment Chloe and Justin's connection had shifted from friendship to something illicit. The shame of my own blindness burned hotter than the pain of their infidelity. I felt like a complete fool, not just for losing the man I loved, but for being so utterly blind to the calculated deception of the one person I thought would always have my back. One particularly bleak evening, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, a memory notification popped up, a photo from our summer beach trip last year. Justin and I, caught in a moment of unadulterated joy, his arms securely around my shoulders, my head nestled against his chest. Chloe was there too, a blurred figure in the background, her smile seeming a touch too forced, a subtle discord in the harmony of our happiness. Looking at that image of our shared joy, a profound sadness washed over me, but it was quickly followed by something new, something unexpected, a cold, focused rage. They thought they had broken me. They thought I was done. But beneath the shattered facade, a different emotion was starting to simmer, hardening into a resolute anger. I wouldn't be their victim. I wouldn't let them define my ending. My first move was subtle, a deliberate planting of seeds. I reached out to Mark, a mutual friend whose cynical observations about Chloe were well documented. I framed it as seeking advice, not as an accusation. "Chloe's been a bit intense lately, hasn't she?" I began, my tone casual, as if merely musing. Mark's reply, delivered with a knowing cynicism, confirmed my deepest suspicions. "Chloe? Oh, she's got a real talent for manipulation, Sarah. Always has." His brief, blunt confirmation validated the gnawing unease I'd been trying to suppress for months. This validation fueled my strategy. I knew a direct confrontation would only lead to denials, more tears, and a continuation of their charade. I needed to dismantle their narrative, not with anger, but with carefully orchestrated revelations that would expose the truth naturally. I created an anonymous social media profile, a digital phantom. My initial posts were cryptic, veiled references to betrayal, to stolen moments, to the hollowness of fake friendships. I used song lyrics and quotes that echoed my pain, knowing both Justin and Chloe were active online and would inevitably see them, sowing seeds of paranoia. Chloe, true to form, reached out, feigning concern. "Sarah, are you seeing these weird posts? It's so unsettling." I played the part of the bewildered victim perfectly. The real work, however, was offline. Justin, predictable as ever, clung to his routines. The gym, the quiet bookstore he frequented, and his Saturday morning ritual at a small, independent art gallery, these were my chosen battlegrounds. Chloe, eager to project an image of sophistication and cultured taste, always accompanied him. I secured the help of a friend, a struggling artist, bribing them with a generous fee to create a moment of calculated chaos. The plan was set for the following Saturday. I positioned myself strategically, a silent observer, as Chloe emerged from the gallery, her face a thundercloud of indignation, her expensive dress marred by a dark, spreading stain. Justin trailed behind her, a picture of helpless apology, caught in the crossfire. Chloe was mid-rant, her voice sharp with indignation about the artist's sheer incompetence and the utter ruin of her day. Justin, caught between her fury and his own embarrassment, looked utterly lost, trapped. This was my moment. As Chloe stormed off towards her car, Justin lingered, his posture defeated, a profound weariness etched on his face. I approached him, my voice surprisingly steady, betraying none of the turmoil within. My presence seemed to startle him, his eyes widening in a mixture of guilt and disbelief. I didn't need to hear his weak apologies. My words were calm, yet carried the weight of undeniable truth. I spoke of the frequency of these accidents, of the growing unease I felt about his relationship with Chloe. His silence, his averted gaze, was a confession in itself. I gently pushed the truth, reminding him of what we had, of how well I knew him, contrasting it with Chloe's superficiality. I spoke of his unhappiness, the visible strain she put him under, the stark contrast to the genuine joy he once shared with me. He finally looked up, his eyes filled with a raw, unvarnished regret. The carefully constructed facade he'd worn since the breakup crumbled. Acknowledging my words, admitting his foolishness, he spoke of Chloe's possessiveness, her ability to make him feel understood. But then, he saw me, not the broken woman he'd left, but the strong, honest person I had chosen to become. The memories of our past happiness, the reasons I had loved him, surfaced in his gaze. A flicker of something, not forgiveness, not yet, but a profound sense of closure, began to emerge within me. I didn't need his apologies to feel complete. I stated, with finality, that he had made his choice, and he had chosen poorly. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, alone, caught in the wreckage of his own decisions. I didn't look back. Chloe's predictable fury, her accusations of manipulation and dirty tactics, arrived later, but her venom had lost its sting. Her power over me was extinguished. I had meticulously dismantled her carefully constructed facade, and Justin, in his miserable reckoning, had finally seen the truth behind it. My revenge wasn't about winning Justin back. It was about reclaiming my own narrative, my dignity, and my life from the clutches of two people who had so carelessly tried to shatter them. It was a silent declaration that their betrayal, however devastating, would not define me. The aftermath wasn't a sudden, magical reset. There were still lingering echoes of pain, moments of anger, and the slow, arduous process of rebuilding trust. But I had taken back my power. I learned that sometimes, the greatest act of self-preservation is to walk away, and that the most potent form of justice is living a life that proves them wrong. And that's precisely the life I was now determined to build.